everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Sober Talk. Tonight in Sober Talk, we're going to march on going through the big book. Be sure to share this out to everyone you know. Um, because we are now on chapter 5 today. Forgot we had finished chapter 4. We're on chapter 5, how it works. All right. We're going to. What's going on, Ian? Welcome to the live stream. Um, of course, don't forget, folks, right after the live stream today, we're going to slide over to Save the World. Over on Save the World, we're going to be tackling, I was given a challenge today to do in stream, so it's going to be really exciting. And over on the Save the World side, it is a collaboration by Mr. Gamerian and myself. It's something that we do traditionally after Sober Talk. It's kind of like in the old days, uh, after AA meetings, some of us would get together and go hang out at somebody's house. We'd all maybe watch movies, play video games. And this was in the early days of my sobriety. Well, now we're doing it. I'm doing it with folks from all over the world after, Sober Talk. So it's really exciting for me to kind of bring this tradition over here to the Prince Magnum channel from just, it goes beyond daily, just what I would have normally done. So a lot of you get to come over, hang out. We play video games together, and we're doing it from across the world. It's really awesome. So it's really neat that we get to do that. I've been meaning to talk about that little bit of tradition that we've now brought to my channel, and now we brought it over to Ian's channel. Because in my early days of sobriety, a lot of us would get together, and usually it was my place because I had the good size apartment. Thank you so much for that, Ian. Thank you for sharing it out. We would all get together at my apartment. We'd watch movies, sit around, and just eat snacks all night, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And I know sometimes Princess Faye has often said, I wouldn't mind to have seen what it was. I know she said quite a few times, I wouldn't have mind seeing what it was like when you first got sober. And this is one of the things that we did. I mean, we'd sit around, we'd play video games, and, back then it was PlayStation 2 that we were playing. So we'd sit around, play on the PlayStation 2, and we'd just goof off. We'd have so much fun. It was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. But now we're doing it on two different YouTube channels simultaneously. So right after Sober Talk, and tonight we'll be doing the big book. Sometimes we'd even get together after an AA meeting, and uh, we'd all get out, our books, and we'd do a big book study together. This is a true story. We did this a lot of times in my early days of sobriety, and I ended up one of the gals that was in the group that we were all doing this. When we were all doing this together, one of the gals, I was dating her for a little bit, but she just passed away a couple years ago. Yeah, kind of crazy, huh? She passed away. We didn't work out. She was, she needed a little bit more help than just Alcoholics Anonymous, which happens. But and we just weren't clicking because of it. Um, it was a different time for me. And then, of course, I ended up getting with somebody else that was actually, she ended up being worse. And I ended up having a kid with her. That's my son, Devin. But there you go. There's that little bit of information. So, all righty. We've got a lot of ground to cover today. What in the big book today? We are beginning chapter 5, how it works. And the first couple of pages of chapter 5 are actually very well known, and then it cuts away into a subject that I'm super 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 familiar with. Step 3, we're going to be hitting that one today. We're going to talk about step 3, and I'm actually going to stop and tell a little bit of sober man knowledge behind it. If you all see the markings on my hands, Princess Faye decided to draw on my hand while I was lying down, kind of relaxing. What's going on? Think Different. So we're going to be, taking it. We're really going to be diving head first into, uh, you know, a lot of folks that have been to AA meetings are going to be super familiar with the first couple pages of how it works because literally we read that pretty much every AA meeting. So it's going to be pretty well old hat to a lot of us. And I think I've read it a couple times here on the channel, but now we're formally doing it in a big book reading, a little bit more of a, big book study sort of situation. And it's even safe to say that one of the things that I also have, have done in the past is, well, no, 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 no. I knew what was going on, Ian. Man, it's all good. Thank you for that, by the way. Appreciate that. Take care of that little bit of business for me. No, you and we even talked about it afterwards, and it's like, it was like everything's good. Everything's good, brother. You don't owe nobody an apology for that. If anything, I should be thanking you for helping me out with that little bit of business. All right, mean that, bottom of my heart. Thank you. I think the plan is to get me up to Twine Peaks 10 because there's superchargers that'll be beneficial to us all that I can get. So we got a little bit of a stretch to go, but those weekly superchargers are going to be super important to us. Yeah. Oh, thank you, baby. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh yeah. I'll keep one. I gotta make that ice cream so I can make some orange floats for a change. Okay. I'm running out of milk though. Hey, what's going on, Broken Mike? Welcome to the live stream. Today is going to be a reading of the Big Book. We're beginning chapter 5, How It Works. And I will apologize when I go into this reading. Well, actually, I'm going to tell you what. I will apologize, but let me explain why. What's going on? Gabriel, welcome to the live stream, my friend. Let me explain in a moment. The beginning of chapter 5, how it works, which begins on page 58. The first 2.5 pages, like I said, hey, what's going on, Mystical? The first 2.5 pages are, if you will, the first 2.5 pages are something that's been read in AA meetings for many years. Okay. It's like at the beginning of the meeting, we get a couple of things, the chairperson will say a couple of things, and then they say, can we get someone to read how it works? Oh, I'm glad you're doing good. And then after they're done reading how it works, you carry on with the rest of the meeting. Well, way back when Soberman was, fairly new with sponsoring me, I heard him read how it works. As a matter of fact, because of how he reads it, he, I actually had him read it when I chaired a meeting a little bit a little bit after that because the way he reads it, it like grabs you and makes you want to sit there and listen to him, and it's so amazing. So I'm gonna do how I read how it works tonight for you guys. I hope you all enjoy, that little segment that we'll be doing. I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. Don't forget after this stream, we're gonna be it'll take me a couple minutes to do a quick setup, but we're gonna be going over to Save the World on Fortnite, and Ian and I will be collabing an awesome stream after that. Matter of fact, we've got a challenge to do today that's really going to be awesome. So I hope you guys basically we'll talk more about it when we get there. This is going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. When I heard about it, I was like, yes, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. And then, of course, after that, we're doing dungeons over there on Save the World. So this is going to be really, really, really exciting. We're going to, Prince Magnum's got to put his game, his game face on for this one. But let's crack into this big book. Um, you guys are going to love this. This is going to be the first 2.5. Basically, when I start in, I'm going to read this section as I would do it in an AA meeting. I think you guys deserve this, okay? And I mean that in a good way. Okay, you guys really deserve this. I mean, y'all want to see what it's like. Here we go. Chapter 5, How It Works, from the Big Book, page 58. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclosed in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we can find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us, but there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we're willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear three pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he were sought. That entire section we read in every AA meeting. And there you have it. That's how I actually will read that in okay. Can you read number 3 again? I misheard it. Oh, sure, sure. I would love to do that for you. Hang on a second. I'm getting caught up with the comments. I didn't want to. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. There you go. And I have put a comment with that. Okay, you guys are talking amongst each other. And I do believe in a God of my understanding. I will say, though, Gabriel, for most people are not, they don't know the God of my understanding. But I believe that you're all at least acquainted with. Okay? If that helps you out any. I mean, I know that sounds kind of strange. Because Alcoholics Anonymous lets you choose the conception of your own higher power that fits the type of sobriety that you need. In other words, if you will, Alcoholics Anonymous has the adjustable wrench that'll fit any nut, like myself. Okay, and I'm a nut case, so we good there. All right, but I hope that kind of clarifies that. That's a damn good question. And yeah, I heard all the news you've been dealing with, Mike. I'm just a message away. I understand a lot of what you're going through, probably more than you think. I lost my grandpa. God is a generic term, if you will. It's kind of like sitting in as president of the United States is a guy named Joe Biden. Okay, and with all intents and purposes, the calling him president is only calling him as his title. Okay, because regardless of how anyone might feel, that is his title right now. But beyond that scope, there's been a lot of people before him, and there's going to be a lot of people after him that will hold that title. Now let's apply that to to your question. There are more than just the gods you mentioned. Okay, and this goes without question. All right. God in this case is a generic term. It's a title that's attached to whatever higher power that you believe in. And in some cases, there are folks out there that don't believe in, the, if you will, the mythological God. They're atheist. So, if you will, their God becomes something different, the God of their understanding. Maybe it's the God of reason that controls laws and physics in science. Okay, nothing wrong with that. I have heard that a guy who was an atheist, he decided he did need some sort of a higher power. He prayed to the wind. That was his higher power. That was the God of his understanding. He could feel the wind. He could understand the wind. It's even controlled by the the laws of thermodynamics. Okay. So these are, this is something that people do in Alcoholics Anonymous. Just because you hear the term God does not necessarily mean are we talking about a specific one. Okay. It's a generic term because again, and I've mentioned this before, and thank you. Thank you. Got me again. Because a lot of folks need to hear this. Absolutely. But I'll get to that in a moment. You did it good. Did good. And see the Ra. Ra is another one. We could go, so there are folks in Alcoholics Anonymous that do believe in other gods. Now, there are some, when I was living up in Washington, Missouri, there was members of Alcoholics Anonymous that did not like the fact that there were some of us that did not want to go to a church, didn't like it at all. Okay. Um, and they would start trying to preach religion in AA meetings. So I turned right around and started talking about mine, and they didn't like it. And I turned around and said, Alcoholics Anonymous does not claim any one religion, race, ethnic group, sexual orientation, background. I said, we don't do that. If you bring your religion up again, go to church. There's one right across the street from the clubhouse. And they just sat there for a moment, like, wow. I said, I'm old school on this. You want to talk religion? Go to church. You want to talk about spirituality and how to stay sober? You're in the right place. But preacher man will be glad to take your money in the offering plate. Okay, if you want church. So that again, that's very important for a lot of folks to understand. Thank you, Ian, because a lot of folks sometimes don't get that. They don't get that. Again, hey, what's going on, Simon? I actually watched one old timer in an AA meeting. A guy started trying to talk church, and this old timer, he was old enough. He took his cane and bam, slammed it on the table. He said, "I'm going to tell you once and only once, don't you dare bring that church bullshit into an AA meeting again." Yep, there you go, Gabriel. I got my cup of coffee, but Princess Faith brought me some Fanta orange soda, so I'm enjoying that. But that's an important, so it's important that we that it, there. It's important that you all hear that. Um, we have atheists and agnostics. Um, we were just talking about, at the beginning of the stream, Princess Faye and I were talking about that. I'm gonna have to make some homemade vanilla ice cream so I can make orange floats, like root beer floats, but only with orange soda. Really good, really good. I like my root beer floats, but I like orange floats too. So, okay. So, Ian, thank you again. You coming with those questions are important because um, I'm gonna stress this again. Religion is a group of people who kind of believe in God along the same lines. Religion, that's religion, okay? Spirituality is your own personal relationship with the God of your understanding, or the one that kind of offends a lot of members in AA, but I love to use it just because it offends them. Usually, the one that it offends, they're weak on their spirituality, and you know their sobriety is pretty shaky. So you say it on purpose to piss them off, so maybe they'll listen a little closer in those meetings. Um, yeah, you purposely do it because they're like, I'll show you, I'll stick around. I know you will. I'm hoping you will. This is how we're saving your life by pissing you off. That's a true story. It's funny how to. It's hard to explain it. But anyhow, um, what was it? Oh yeah, this is a saying that, like I said, starts pissing off our more shaky members. Religion is for people who are afraid of hell. Spirituality is for people who've been to hell. Hey, what's going on, Raven? Welcome to the live stream. But um but how you heard me read that whole section of how it works, that's how I do it in AA meetings. So onward and upward. I know you guys want to hear a little bit more from the big book, so carry on. We're going to read all the way over to, I think we're going to go ahead and just go to page 63. From 60 to 63, I'm having flashbacks here. I'm going to tell you all about that in a minute. Being convinced that we were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and our life over to God as we understood him, just what do we mean by that, and just what do we do? The first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. On that basis, we're almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. Most people try to live by self-propulsion. Each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show, is forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in his own way. If his arrangements would only stay put, if only people would do as he wished, the show would be great. Everybody, including himself, would be pleased. Life would be wonderful. And trying to make these arrangements, our actor may sometimes be quite virtuous. He may be kind, considerate, patient, even generous, even modest and self-sacrificing. On the other hand, he may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. But as with most humans, he's more likely to have varied traits. What usually happens, the show doesn't come off very well. He begins to think life doesn't treat him right. He decides to exert himself more. He becomes, on the next occasion, still more demanding or gracious as the case may be. Still, the play does not suit him. Admitting he may be somewhat at fault, he is sure that others are more to blame. He becomes angry, indignant, self-pitying. What is his basic trouble? Is he not really a self-seeker, and even when trying to be kind, is he not a victim of the delusion that he can wrest satisfaction out of happiness of this world if he only manages well? Is it not evident to all the rest of the players that these are the things he wants? And do not his actions make each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all they can get out of the show? Is he not, even in his best moments, a producer of confusion rather than harmony? Our actor is self-centered, egocentric, as people like to call it nowadays. He's like the retired businessman who lolls in the Florida sunshine in the winter, complaining over the sad state of the nation, the minister who sighs over the sins of the 20th century, politicians and reformers who are sure all would be utopia if the rest of the world would only behave, the outlaw safecracker who thinks society has wronged him, and the alcoholic who has lost all and is locked up. Whatever our protestations, are not most of us concerned with ourselves, our resentments, or our self-pity. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles. Driven by 100 forms of fear, delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity, we step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt us, seemingly without provocation, but invariably at some point in the past, we have made decisions based on self which later placed us in a position to be hurt. So our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves, and the alcoholic is an extreme example of self-will run riot, though he usually doesn't think so. Above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of this selfishness. We must, or it kills us. God makes that possible. There often seems no way of entirely getting rid of self without his aid. Many of us had moral and philosophical convictions galore, but we could not live up to them even though we would like to. Neither could we reduce our self-centeredness much by wishing or trying on our own power. We had to have God's help. This is this is the how and the why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. We decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God is going to be our director. He is the principal, we are his agents. He is the Father, and we are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom. Remember what I said earlier, a couple live streams ago. When we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer. Being all powerful, he provided what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. Established on such footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. More and more, we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. We were reborn. We were now at step 3. Many of us said to our Maker, as we understood him, God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, thy way of life. May I do thy will always. We thought well before taking this step, making sure we were ready, that we could at last abandon ourselves utterly to him. We found it very desirable to take this spiritual step with an understanding person, such as our wife, best friend, or spiritual advisor. But it is better to meet with God alone than with one who might not understand. The wording, of course, was quite optional, as long as we expressed the idea, voicing it without reservation. This was only a beginning, though if honestly and humbly made, an effect, sometimes a very great one, was felt at once. We're going to stop there in the book for right now, because what I'm about to talk about is this entire section I just read. First thing I need to tell you all is that the very first, I was a couple weeks sober at this time when I first read this with Sober Man. And you'll hear me joke every now and again that when I did this for the very first time, read this for the very first time, Sober Man then says, "Okay, Prince Magnum, now I want you to read this once a day for 2 weeks straight, and when we get to the end of the 2 weeks, we're gonna sit down together, we're gonna read it one more time, and then we're gonna do the prayer out of the book." Ian. And I said, okay. And he said, but if you miss one day during these 2 weeks, we got to start all over again on it. So I would have to start the 2 weeks over again. So if I missed a day, I got to start the 2 weeks. I had to read it once a day for 2 weeks straight. Now you'll hear me joke in AA meetings. You'll hear me say, my sponsor had me read this once a day for 2 weeks straight, And if I missed a day, I had to start all over again on it. And then you'll hear me say, let me repeat myself. And I'll actually say the same thing. And then you'll see me go, mean old sponsor. And everybody starts laughing. Okay. So that's actually something I'll do in meetings. People think that's funny. But anyhow. So we started reading, I started reading this, and a lot of times I ended up reading it a couple times a day. Now, one of the things that Sober Man taught me, all right, when it starts talking about that in our best moments, we were producers of confusion rather than harmony. He said, I want you to do me a favor, Prince Magnum. Flip flop it. You're to be a producer of harmony rather than confusion. Okay? I want you to flip flop that. He said, I want you to try wherever you go to be a producer of harmony rather than confusion. He said, can you do that for me? I said, I could do my best. He said, that's all any of us can do. He's like, remember in that first section of how it works that we read in every meeting? We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Okay. You got me there again. So he was very, very rubbish bin. Oh my goodness. So that was something he actually taught me there. He had me highlight here the whole thing on selfishness. That was important to us. That was very, very important to us. And then he talked about, for the second time, this spiritual archway that we walk to freedom. He said, we're going to see this again. He said, I want you to keep a close eye on this. And we pointed this out earlier in the book. Okay? And we're going to actually touch base again on this spiritual archway. And this is very important to Sober Man. But the next one, you heard it again right here in the third step. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom. Well, I don't know. Am I throwing away trash? Then rubbish bins are absolutely wonderful. Do I want to go diving in them? Nope. But also remember, another man's trash is another person's treasure sometimes. But anyhow, he also had me, he also pointed out the third step promises, okay? The third step promises. And they're on the top of page 63. You guys probably heard them for a moment. We'll do it again. We'll read it again real quick. Oh, no. Recycling bins. These are recycling bins. Here, I'll show you. Princess Faye's dad got this. Got paper, plastic, and in the middle, metal. Get it? Recycling bins. Princess Faye's dad got me this shirt because I like heavy metal. Get it? Poor Ian. Yeah. You never seen that one? Paper, plastic, metal. What's going on, Sean? But you never. Now you get it. Poor Ian. Now he's like, well, now hold on a second. How many times you guys watched me do tool restoration videos? Those things were trash. We turned them into treasure, didn't we? People take alcoholics like me and they basically, they're like, we can't do anything with you. But yet you have a program that takes us out of the trash and returns us to being, and a lot of times, what people might consider a treasure. How many times have I heard people say, Prince Magnum, you're awesome. But there was a time in my life that no one wanted to be around me. No one liked me. So, in a way, I went from trash to treasure. So, it's kind of fitting. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you're here, Sean. Again, there you go, Ian, bringing the. I was already a gamer. I just didn't spend a whole lot of time, but you know, we've had a lot more time on our hands, and I've been having a great time with you. Absolutely. I was already doing game theories. I think it's been a while since I've done a game theory video. I'll have to do one now. I'll have to do one now for y'all. Actually, I ought to do one where I go in to fight Ganon with a bunch of basically wooden weapons on Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and beat the crap out of Ganon with wooden weapons just for Ian. I'm gonna do it. I swear to God, I'm gonna do it. Wood for the win, right? Now Ian's like, hey, yeah, I want to see that. God would. Ian has flashbacks every time he sees this too. Hey Ian, does this look familiar? You should know it. Cinnamon breaks this out every live stream just for you. No, not like that. This is YouTube, not Pornhub. But anyhow, so did you guys enjoy today's reading? I know I enjoyed doing it. It took me down memory lane in a good way, in a real good way. It's always nice to be able to share with you guys the things that help me get sober. Um, Hang on here. Simultaneously, I'm also getting ready for the next stream. Had to do a file clean, not a joke, since Tuesday Night Madness. Princess Faye had a little bit of a episode this morning. Wasn't feeling good. She seems to be doing better, but she's going to be joining us for the next stream, which is right directly after Sober Talk. Really quick, 58 items we're eliminating from my folder. So, and I haven't really, yeah, haven't done anything since then. So again, simultaneously, I'm also doing disk defrag. Yeah, it's been 2 days since I've streamed off the computer. There we go. And quick restart. So we're now set. All I gotta do is open up OBS and open up Fortnite. So we'll be ready to rock and roll. Um, Again, I hope y'all enjoyed today's reading. Like I said, we're right now going down some of the most interesting stuff that I needed for the early beginnings of my sobriety. And the first few chapters seemed like they were ginormous, but ironically enough, a lot of the book seems like it's really going to go by quickly now. It's really going to go by quickly. It just seems like about time you hit step three, step one, and step two, it just seems like it drags. It does. But then all of a sudden it takes off and it really starts moving quick and it's like boom, 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 boom. And it's all just coming really fast. It's really fast. We're going to go through all 164 pages of the original, kind of main text from the big book. We're probably going to go through Dr. Bob's. We'll probably go through all the in the back, and then of course, um, after that, we're going to go on to the 12 and 12 or 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book. We'll definitely have to do that. We'll pick that up and have some fun with that. Um, we'll go through that, and then after all of that, we'll probably pick up some other books from Alcoholics Anonymous. We'll just continue to keep going. We might even make this where I might be learning something new. So I think this is going to be interesting. If there are any AA members in chat right now, I will give you a heads up. There is a book uh, in our fellowship that I will not be reading because number one, it's not conference approved. Absolutely, we'll get to that. Reverend Gamery, and I like that. I like that. But let me touch base really, really quick. Um, there is a book that I will not do on this channel. Number one, it's not AA conference approved material, and I think there's a couple of members that of. Oh, that's awesome, Mike. Appreciate that. There's a couple of members in the of AA I know that are here. You ass. Oh, Zelda. You just totally ignore me, don't you? Um, but I know there's going to be some people who are going to want to know, am I going to read a book that's called Living Sober? I'm going to answer that right now. The answer to that is no. We will not be reading that book. There is a book out there that has managed to make its way into Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, this book actually goes back to the Oxford movement or the Oxford groups, which was what eventually, well, AA kind of was started from the Oxford groups. And I don't believe in any of that stuff because what they spoke about was kind of this whole purity thing. And let me give you an idea. When Bill W. started doing his work to bring to help people get sober, when him and Dr. Bob started doing their thing to help people get sober, the Oxford groups were pretty new then. We're still, doing their thing, and they were doing very well. But the problem with that was that they really started talking about this purity stuff. And as Bill W. was doing his thing, members of basically what would become the original groups for Alcoholics Anonymous, we were all sitting in the corner telling dirty jokes, and the members of the Oxford group were like, "Oh, you can't do that." Spiritual purity and stuff like that. We didn't care. We members of Alcoholics Anonymous were dirty folks. Okay. Well, then when Bill W. and Dr. Bob, basically Bill W. released the big book. When Bill W. released this book through the Works Publishing Company, when that was released, absolutely. Yeah. That basically AA members were in the corner talking about boobies. Yep. Hooters. So when that happened, when the big book was released, that was the end. There was no more Alcoholics Anonymous and Oxford groups getting along. Now, the irony of that is that the Oxford groups stopped doing what got them to the point that they were at, focusing on the one thing that they were good at. And what were they good at? They were good at getting people sober. They started getting involved in other stuff, and pretty soon they were even involved in politics. And before long, they were forgotten. A footnote in history. Sean, they're a footnote in history. Alcoholics Anonymous has been in existence since 1935. So, in essence, in essence, if you will, because of that, you know, that's why. Um, that's why I don't like that book. That's one of the many things from that book, Living Sober, and somehow again it ekes its way into Alcoholics Anonymous, um, and you'll find groups selling that book. I don't approve of that because honestly and truthfully, there's a reason why the Oxford groups didn't work, and that's why it's kind of like the only thing you're going to get is picking up what's left of their books that basically it's history for a reason. That's why they're a footnote in history for a reason, for getting people sober, because he stopped trying to get people sober. Stick to thy lashes. Anyhow, so that's why. And I know that sounds pretty harsh, but I will not read that book. I don't even own a copy. And another something that I will enforce on this channel is I will not read any of the so-called there's other books like these daily books that this company makes, and they're not even AA conference approved material. There's a reason why. Because they keep trying to force a certain religion down our throat. That's why we have not made them that way. And it's a company called Hastings. I think that's the name of them. I'll have to double check it. But there's a company out there. They love to make so-called spiritual stuff, and basically they're trying to cram religion down your throat. Uh, and because of that, I won't read that stuff. And I actually urge in AA meetings groups not to read that stuff. There's a lot of us that feel that way because of the religion that comes with it. And I even go so far as to say, look, I didn't come to AA to go to church. I came to AA to get sober. If I want to go get church, I'll go to a church. I'll go talk to the pastor. I'll go talk to a preacher, minister, rabbi, something. But I'm going to tell you right now, I came to AA because I wanted to get sober. And if you want me to talk religion, I will promise you my religion scares the hell out of people because they don't understand it. So that's why I'm very strict about that. But before we wind this stream down for the evening, okay? Yeah. Before the next live stream, before we cut out of here and everything and end up, closing down for, closing sober talk, I know I could go for a cigarette. Y'all want to join me for a cigarette? Ian, smoke them if you got them, right? We're going to step outside. We're going to have a cigarette real quick. I had one earlier today. That's about the most I smoke anymore. I really don't smoke very often. We're going to step outside. We're going to have a cigarette real quick. I'm scared of the dark. Somebody hold me. Don't worry, I'm right. Well, here. So, did y'all learn anything today? Reverend Karen. Oh my gosh. Ian, what are we going to do with you? I just don't know what we're going to do with you. I mean, it's bad enough that Pinky told us that you've been going around doing impressions of Cinnamon. Yeah, y'all didn't know that. If y'all didn't know about that one, Ian's been going around doing impressions of Cinnamon. Real quick, when I mentioned the Oxford groups, under if we were still doing things like they wanted, Ironically enough, playing the character of Cinnamon would be a hell no to them. Mike, I'm already looking for the. Danny sent me what you guys came up with for Cinnamon's costume on BUW for her being a manager, and I just posted over there on Broken Universe Wrestling Facebook page with Cinnamon now joining BUW as a manager. The question is, besides Ian now, who she's managing, we're all wondering how long it's going to be before anybody else asks the question, will you be my manager? I think you and Danny really nailed the look. You really nailed the look. I think it's going to be really awesome. Yeah, I got a funny feeling that it's going to turn into where Cinnamon has a stable similar to Bobby the Brain Heenan from the old days of wrestling. Yeah. I believe it. Yeah, I can see how that religion will work. I can see how that religion will work. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it now. Now I got to do it. Yeah, Ian's sitting there. Yeah, I just want everyone to believe in. Yeah, he's playing the God thing. Hey, what's going on, Elias? I could see it now. I'm doing good, doing real good. We're getting ready to wind this stream down. I'm just having a quick cigarette before we shut this stream down, and then we're going to get over on to Save the World. It's the collab between Ian and myself, so y'all better join us. Taver is doing good, and that's with a V, not a B. Galaxy is doing good. That's with an IE, not a Y. Um, Zelda is doing good. The toilet has a crappy outlook on life. Princess Faye had a rough nightmare last night that messed her up this morning. She's doing all right now. Seems a lot better. Um, yeah, that's pretty much the excitement right now. And me, how do I feel? With my fingers. Sometimes I feel with my toes. Very important. Very important. Now, really quick, Elias. Now, I got a question for you. I got a question for you, Elias. I seen that, Sean. 70. No, I was gonna say Ian's got this whole he's playing this whole religion thing right now, having some fun goofing. Mouthful. Ah, mouthful. That's great. I love it. Love it. I was gonna say Ian's got this whole religion thing that he's playing right now. I've got to say it now. All right. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do it to you, brother. Just out of curiosity, uh, you know, do you play that? Do you play that religious card with Pinky? Because if you do, I know how that goes. Let me come on you, my child. Anyhow, he was like, "What? Wait." See what I mean? Alcoholics Anonymous has no problem telling dirty jokes. um, we tell a lot of jokes. We try to find as much humor as possible in our sobriety. Sobriety. There it is. It's all over your face. Oh my gosh! Right now he is just dying laughing. If Pinky heard this, he'd be like, "Oh my god, he went there. That sick puppy." John, there it was. He went there, didn't he? He went there. Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome. No other way to say it that I have. No other way to say it, um, except that I have probably the most awesome community that a content creator could ask for. There's no question about it. No question about it. Oh man. Well, thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate that. And I love you guys too. I think the world of each and every one of you. And I know sometimes some of y'all are like, I've been busy, I've been able to make an end. Shoot, I'm happy when you're here and I miss you when you're not. But I understand life happens. That's just life. Life happens whether we like it or not. Okay? If there's one thing that I've learned about my sobriety, just because sobriety happens doesn't mean that I don't go through stuff. It doesn't mean that I get away with having I don't get to have a perfect life. I live life like everybody else. I just have to learn to live it without a drink or a drug. And I'm talking about illicit drugs. Stop trying to split hairs for some of you folks out there. Got to go. All right. All right. Well, let's slide on back in. Let's get ready to wind it down so we can get over there to save the world. Saving your world because I'm that great. This is a collab that Ian and I do together, and we have a great time. We have an absolutely fantastic time. It's a lot of fun, and I mean, yeah, I mean, if you've not seen streams, we do. We have a great time, and tonight I have I was presented with a challenge, and we're gonna do it tonight. It's gonna be the opening thing. Woo! I hit the wrong button. There we go. You're gonna start setting up. I'm actually kind of doing a little bit of the same myself. But again, if y'all have a moment, want to come on over to the next one, you are definitely welcome to. Um, and we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a real good time. But that does bring us to the stopping point for the evening. But before we let out in the usual manner that we do here on Sober Talk, I want to remind you all, and this is a very, very important reminder for every last one of you, okay? Now take this to heart. I know sometimes we get people that come in here and they listen and they take in what they need to take in and they appreciate it, but sometimes they still leave and they don't feel good about themselves. Some of you out there don't feel very good about yourselves at all. You struggle with, the day-to-day stuff, just life in general. Okay, life is hard. Okay, um, and sometimes you get in your head that you don't think you're worth anything, and it happens to me. Where sometimes that happens to me, where I don't think I'm as awesome as I think I am, but uh, you know, because of the editing stuff that I get to do, I get to see, hey, I really am pretty damn cool. I'm all right. So I'm fortunate there. And around the time I was 3 years sober, I did learn how to be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, I love you to this guy right here. Okay. It's just every once in a while we all experience those moments. We're human beings. But if you're stuck in that spot, and I know this happens, I love it. Later on tonight, Reverend Gamerian will be going to Pinky and saying, "Let me come on you, my child." No, I'm teasing. I don't know. He's right now. Why you sicko? But damn you. All right. Uh, right now, Ian's like, "Damn you, Brents." There's not every time Ian and I get together on say playing some game or whatever. Oh my gosh. Busted. Princess Bang getting on to me. Ew, stop that, you sicko. I can just imagine. I can just imagine. Oh my gosh. But anyhow, I also want to remind you guys that I know sometimes again that we all get it in our heads that we're not as special as we think we are. You guys really are special. If you've had any wonders, okay, we've all been here tonight. We've all been laughing and joking, and we've been studying the Big Book together. Now, it may not necessarily be today, it may not necessarily be tomorrow, but at some point, somebody is going to maybe come across one of these streams, and they might be sitting there thinking that their alcoholism or their drug addiction is too much to bear and thinking the worst. Y'all know where I went with that. But maybe in there, and you're a mess. But we know in there that maybe they might decide that to go get help. Think for a moment. By you guys being here tonight and us talking about alcoholism and then still laughing and joking and having a good time might be a life changer for somebody. Somebody we've never even met, never even seen their face. So, in essence, by you guys being here tonight or even watching the playback later, leaving a positive comment, that sort of thing, that might be the one thing in somebody's life, that might change their, help them decide to get help. So in essence, indirectly, by you guys being here tonight or watching the playback or whatever, you are part of helping someone's life, even if it is indirectly. You may never meet that person, but you're part of helping somebody's life. And trying to help save people's lives, there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's something to be said about that. So if you didn't think you were worth much anything at the beginning of this stream, I hope you understand that just by being here right now, you are worth something. Even if it's to this guy just sitting right here. That's important for y'all to remember. That you guys are worth something. You guys are something special. You may not know it, but you all have an important part in me trying to help reach other people. So that brings us to the spot where we shut it down and get ready to go over to save the world. Which I know that's the video game. So with that being said, at day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. And if no one has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.